Hi guys, welcome back to Bunny Brick Designs. So today I'm going to do something fun with you that I've been meaning to do for a while. I make fringe earrings, not a lot because they annoy me sometimes, but I have been wanting to try this for a while. So I made the first one the other night and I figured I'd do the second one with you on camera. But first I'd like to say thank you to all my subscribers. And a big shout out to all of those who watch my videos. I hit a milestone the end of last week. I hit 3,000 watch hours in a year, so that's awesome. So I'm gonna be starting to do some premieres where you can chat with me while we're doing videos. That'll be coming up here soon. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do for those premieres yet, but I can't wait to do some with you. So what I wanted to show you today, and I'm going to bring it on camera here in a minute, is a fringe earring, but it's not your standard fringe earring where you make the brick stitch base. So it's not going to be something like this where you make the brick stitch base and then put the fringe on. It's going to be using a component. So it is going to be this. And I made it in shell, gold, and black, and I think that's very pretty. Nice neutral earring. It's a very long earring, so, but I'm going to show you how to put the beads on, and then how to string the fringe, and also how to secure it with the knots. And so we're going to be doing that today on camera. And so I've already started getting set up before I did this video. So all I did was take my ring. I took about 2 to 3 wingspans of thread, probably more closer to 3 wingspans, and I just tied a knot and tied it in a knot on the ring. Now to get started, and I'm going to pull a few of my shell beads, you're going to take 1 seed bead. So now when you're starting to do brick stitch, usually the first part of the row you're taking 2. But doing this, you're only going to take 1. And so you're going to have it on your needle. And let me, you can see how it's on the thread. I am now going to turn the thread so that it's facing down. So the bead is now facing the opposite direction and the thread is coming down. Now, in order for me to get this onto the ring, I'm going to have to pass the needle through the ring and then back up through that bead. Oops. And the first one's usually really hard to do. The second one, and I'll show you the second one. So I had the needle in front, or the thread in front on that one. You can do it in front or back, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to pick up another seed bead and I will show you that again. So now that is sitting on top. I'm going to bend this and I'm going to bend it behind just so you can see. I'm trapping the thread with my finger against the ring. And so now you can see that bead is sitting right there. And so I'm going to pass the needle through the ring, oops, if I don't drop it, and then back up through the bead. And I'm just going to pull until it's tight and just pull it tight there. Okay, and that's 2. So now we've got to do this again, and I'll do a couple more with you on camera, and then I'll pause and get the remainder done. So again, the bead sitting on top, you're just going to pull it over to the side, stick the needle through. I like to come from back to front and just pull the thread. And you will know if you actually get it on the needle, because if you don't get it around the ring, your bead will pop off. Because I did have that a couple of times when I did the first one and I couldn't figure out where the bead kept going. And it was because I wasn't getting through I wasn't going through the right side. So there we go. We'll do that again. And you do have to be careful with all of this thread that you don't get knots like that. And that's really not a knot. It's just twisted. Just be careful you don't get it twisted, which is why I like to keep the bead up against the ring. Because as you can see, it can make a nice mess if you don't. And that went on the opposite side of where it needed to be. So you do have to be careful that you don't get things all twisted up. So just take your time with this. As you can see, it can easily get twisted. And see, what happened was I let go of that bead. So what you want to make sure you do is you get the bead on the needle, bend it down, hold on to that pretty tight, so that when you're pulling this thread through like this, that bead isn't going to go anywhere until you've got all your thread through, because otherwise you're going to have knots. All right, so that is 5. Now we need to do 17 of these. So I'm going to pause you. I'm going to get all 17 done, and then we'll be back. All right, guys, so I've got all 17 beads wrapped up onto the ring with the brick stitch. Now I'm coming out of this bead here. So this is perfect because this is going to give us a starting point. And now I'm going to pull in some beads, and I'm going to start by showing you. So the pattern is starting with 5 beads. So it's 5 pearl, 5 gold, 5 black. And so I have 4 pearls here. So I'm just going to pick up and I'm going to call them pearl, but they're shell. So shell, cream. So I got the 4 because the one on here makes 5. Then I'm going to pick up 5 black. And 1, 2, oops, I'm sorry, not 5 black, 5 gold. My bad. I'm getting ahead of myself. 5, so there's 5 gold, and then 5 black. So there's 3, 4, 5. All right, so then I'm going to pull them down. And so here's a little trick when you're doing fringe. Nymo is notorious for splitting when you're doing the needles. So here's a little trick. All right, so I've got all my beads down here. I'm going to skip one. So there's the one that I'm skipping right there. So I'm just going to take him and move him away. So now I have my beads. I'm going to hold it really tight. I'm going to stick my needle through as many beads as I can get. And in this case, I can go through all of them. And then I'm going to pull. And you see how I'm pulling away from the needle? That way I know that I have not snagged the thread at all with the needle, so that it's going to move smoothly. So now I can just start pulling. I'm going to hold on to that last bead that we skipped, and then I can just pull and pull, pull, pull until it's tight up against there. Adjust my bead, whether I want it down or to the side. So you can have it to the side, or you can have it so that it is like that, straight up and down. I want mine a little bit more to the side, so I'm going to do that. Now, the trick, because we definitely want to make sure we're securing these beads really well to that ring. So I'm going to go up through this bead on the front of the ring. So you see the needle is in front of the ring. And I'm going to pull that nice and tight. Now I'm going to pass the needle through the ring. I'm going to flip over to the other side, and I'm going to go down through that second bead. So what that is going to do is it's going to form a diagonal thread, and I'll show you that here in a second. It's going to form another diagonal thread over the ring there and make it so that now I have an additional thread on the ring. Make sure you don't get it too tight. You want this a little bit loose. So I want it to dangle. All right, so then the next thing is we're going to always add 2 just to this upper portion. So just to this upper part, and that's how we're going to get it for these, at least these 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take and bring in, and because I already have 1 on there, I only need six more beads. So there's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. That gives me 7. And then I'm going to grab my gold. And I like to do this where I run my needle through because I can get, a lot of times I can get multiple beads. So there's 4, 5. Now, and see, I just picked up 5 all at once with the black. All right, so we're going to do that again. Let me get my thread out of here. And so now, as you can see, this one's going to be a little bit longer. Again, I'm going to skip the 1 bead. And I'm going to go pass through. And if you can't get all of them, just grab a few, then go back and grab the last few. And I do that, and like I said, it makes sure that the thread is not split. And that it's going to move quite nicely, and it goes up quite quickly. And again, pass the needle from, and it doesn't matter which side you work on. I tend to flip this back. Oops, sorry for hitting the camera. I tend to flip it back and forth just because that's just how I work. All right, and so we're going to go back down through, and as you can see, this one right here isn't super tight, which is fine because all we have to do is just pull on this thread just a little bit, and that got it nice and tight. Now, I don't want it too tight, and this will shift on the ring until we put super glue on the knots. All right, so the next one is 9, so I need 8. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the reason why I need 8, again, in case you missed it before, is we need 9 because we're increasing by 2. So it's 5, 7, 9. But this bead that's on the ring counts as bead number 1. So there's a total of 9 shell-colored beads. Now I'm going to pick up my 5 gold and then my 5 black. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you can see, that little scoop method works really well for getting beads quickly. All right, and so I am going to do this one. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm probably going to pause you, finish up, and then show you how to finish off. Just because you'll see the pattern here on the next one. So this is the first tier section, which has just the one. So when you're looking at this is these right here, these 3. And then the next one is going to be the 2 tier. So this is what I call the 3 tier because it's got these here. All right. And we're going to tighten that guy up. Sometimes you can do that where you get the needle and you're able to pass the needle from front to right through the ring. And I'm going to come down through the next bead here. And tighten it up just a little. There we go. So now I've got the 3. So the next set, because that's 5, 7, 9, I need 11, so I need 10 of these. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoops. 5 gold. 5 black. Now the second tier is literally just 5 cream, 5 gold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I've got my second tier, and so I'm going to go back through as usual. And because now I don't have as much on, or I don't have as much room on the needle, I can't go through all of the beads at the same time, so I go through in multiple steps. But again, the process is always going to be the same. If you take that and you pull it, I know that needle has not snagged the thread. Now, if you can't pull and it gets stuck, then you know you've like snagged the thread. So if I were to have snagged the thread close to up here, I would not be able to pull the beads away from it. It would get stuck, and then you would know it, so then you could just undo it at that point. It's a lot harder to try to get the splice out of the thread after you've pulled the needle through, because then you have to take your needle off, undo everything, and put the needle back on. I mean, which you can do, but it's a lot easier to do as you're going along. All right, and I'm back through. I've gone through the hoop, and I am back through. And as you can see, it's definitely doubling up on the thread, so it's covering that ring. Now you can do this with gold thread, you can do it with clear thread, you can do it, I'm just doing it with white, just because the white really doesn't show. All right, so basically the next step is just going to be, again, continuing to add a bead to this top, and then you would have your second tier. And so you're going to do your second tier for 3, and then you're going to do your third tier, which is going to be your seed beads, a set of gold, set of black, and then 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all the way down. And then you're going to start reversing and going. So once you hit the center one, you know, it's the longest one, you're going to start shortening up again by 2 beads. So I think there's 21 by the time you get to here, and then 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, you know, so you're going to go backwards. Anyways, I'm going to pause you. I'm going to get this done, and then we will be back for me to show you how to knot it and finish off. Okay, guys, I'm back. So I finished beading everything. I did make the mistake of actually miscounting on one, and so I had to pull it out and redo it, which was a pain. So now I'm up at the end, and I've gone through my last and come up, and I'm coming out the bead, and I've passed the thread to the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the needle through my work to get it to the same side as, or the opposite side where the thread is. And so this is coming out of the back of this last one here. So if you look, you can see the thread is underneath the frame right there. And I'm coming out this work. Okay. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and I'm going to tie it in a knot. And I'm going to do a surgeon's knot here on the end. And then I am going to take a drop, a tiny, tiny drop of glue. And when I say tiny, I mean really, really tiny. Like, I don't know if you can see that on there, just that little tiny drop. And I'm just going to rub it in a little bit and give it a few seconds to dry. And then I'm just going to cut these threads. pretty close. Now there's still some frayed tails, but because this is nylon thread, I'm just going to take a lighter and quickly just singe that. And once it's completely dry, you can rub off the black. But that's going to be on the back side. So that's singed that. It's melted the thread, and the super glue is holding it in place. So that's not going anywhere. So then the only other thing we have left to do is put an earring hook on it. And so my knot is on the back there. So this is going to be my front. So I'm just going to use one of these type of earring hooks. I'm just going to hook it on. I'm going to close it, and there you go. So you start out with 5, you increase by 2, your center one would be 21, you have 17 beads, and it's just a fun little project I thought I would do with you. Like I said, I've been meaning to do one for a while. Be careful of your counting, make sure you're counting the right numbers, because what I ended up doing was in my tiers. So you've got, that's 1 tier, this is 2 tiers, and then this is the 3rd tier. Now you don't have to do tiers, you could do all of them like this and just shrink it up. But what ended up happening was I miscounted a tier, so this one right here was only down to here, and I was off by 1. So when I got closer to the end, I was like, wait a minute, my counts are off. So I had to pull out like 4 or 5 rows. But I was able to get it done. And so, yeah, so those are really pretty. They're really fun. They work up pretty quickly. 3 wingspans of thread actually allowed me to do it. And oops. And I did have probably a good 2 feet left. So, you know, you could, like I said, 2 to 3 wingspans will get you the whole entire earring. If you do a single wingspan, you'll have to probably do 2 of them to get the earring done like I did on this one. But anyways, so that's a fringe earring on a ring. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.